I'm here to talk about Edgewood by Kristen Ciccarelli. Kristen, that last name. This is a new standalone fantasy for fans of like urban fantasy and paranormal romance. A little bit of mystery. Here is the synopsis. No matter how far she runs, the forest of Edgewood always comes for Emmeline Clark. The scent of damp earth curls into her nose when she sings and moss creeps across the stage. It's as if the woods of her childhood, shrouded in folklore and tall tales, are trying to reclaim her, but Emmeline has no patience for such silly superstitions. When her grandfather disappears, leaving only a mysterious orb in his wake, the stories Emmeline has always scoffed at suddenly seem less foolish. She enters the forest she has spent years trying to escape, only to have Hawthorne Fell, a handsome and brooding tithe collector, try to dissuade her from searching. Refusing to be deterred, Emmeline finds herself drawn to the court of the fabled Wood King himself. She makes a deal, her voice for her grandfather's freedom. Little does she know, she stumbled into the middle of a curse much bigger than herself. One that threatens the existence of this eerie world she's trapped in, along with the devastating boy who feels so familiar. With the help of Hawthorne Fell, an enemy turned reluctant ally who she grows closer to each day, Emmeline sets out not only to save her grandfather's life, but to right past wrongs and in the process discover her true voice. So I got this book on audio from NetGalley. It wasn't really like huge on my radar. I think that the cover's pretty. So I picked it up thinking that it would be sort of like a palate cleanser and that I would rate it 3 stars and forget about it entirely and never think of it again. I was expecting it to be like fluffy and unremarkable. Then when the first chapter hit, I was concerned that I was walking into another book that I would have a similar experience to as I had with the Hazelwood for many different reasons. And that was one of my most disappointing reads. So I was very concerned for a minute there because I love the idea of twists on fairy tales and I love dark forest. That's one of my favorite things to see in books, like easily in my top 3, along with like shadow magic and necromancy. I'm very pleased to say that this was not an unremarkable book and it was not another Hazelwood. I gave this 5 stars. I know, I'm as shocked as you are right now. Alright, so if you liked the idea of the Hazelwood but didn't like the execution and wanted more like twist on fairy tales, I think that this might work for you. This does have like fantastical creatures, there is a dragon, there is a creepy, you know, fantasy forest, there are like animals and plants that talk, there's a mad king, a kingdom that has a curse, quests, and the prose is very magical in and of itself. So it really lends something extra to the story that I felt like was missing in the Hazelwood. I really struggle with stories about music, so I have DNF'd a couple. I didn't love Ghostwood Song. I thought it was just okay. I gave it 3 stars. I DNF'd Kingdom of Back. I thought that that book that was sort of like a sapphic Phantom of the Opera was just okay. I really struggle because whatever I love about music does not really transfer onto page typically for me. It wasn't the center of the story, but it was very important to our main character, and it really brought another level of beauty to the story that I really enjoyed, and it actually made the story better for once, which was great. So if you struggle with like music being depicted in books, then this might work for you. I was already finding this book pretty intriguing and enjoyable, and then I hit the 70% mark and stuff just started to pop off left and right, and I was like, oh, this is better than I've been experiencing already. Like, this is really fucking good. And I realized that all these like little mysterious background things that I hadn't really been paying attention to were hints at a larger plot point that I didn't see coming. One thing I do want to note, and I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, so I do want to note that there is a trigger warning that you should know about, or a content warning, that there is a relationship in this that is not consensual. It's not the main character, and there is a like product of that relationship, like a child born of that relationship, where the you know, there was an abuse victim and they had a child. So if that is concerning for you, I would not read this. This is really a book where the author utilizes things so well. So all of her background characters she utilizes really well. The magic she utilizes really well. Everything made sense, everything had a point, everything was just really beautifully written. I loved all the twists and turns. My heart like dropped out of my butt at one point. I was so concerned. I actually loved the romance, and I loved that the romance made sense. So you initially think that you've seen this kind of thing before, but then there's like some things that you don't see coming and you're like, oh, this is like a really huge part of the plot that I didn't even see coming. Loved all of the twists and turns. Just when I think I had things figured out, there was like another level to it that I didn't see. There were some parts where I was, oh shit, like I can't believe that I did not see this coming, but at the same time, oh fuck. I really loved the romance in this. I think that Hawthorne was such a great character. I think all of the side characters were so well done. Like, they really felt like real people. Hawthorne is such a, without spoilers, Hawthorne is such a great love interest. You think that you've seen like this sort of dynamic before. I promise you that you have not. Just when you think you have everything figured out, the author adds like another layer of fairy tale to it, and it's so beautifully done. The romance really made sense and was just like, it really pulled on my heartstrings. I was really rooting for them, especially when it hit like past the like 70% mark. I was like, all right, they had some tension, and then like some things come to light and you're like, oh shit. I love Emmeline as our main character. She's just kind of like funny. She really knows who she is. She has a lot of love for others, but like has a lot of love for herself as well, and really wants to pursue the things that are important to her. I think she was great. It was a fun experience, like experiencing her story, unlike the Hazelwood, in which case I suffered with that main character. I really love what the author did here with the themes, particularly with memory and how our love for each other survives through our memories of each other. That was so beautifully done. Trigger warning though for a grandparent with Alzheimer's. If that is painful for you to read, I wouldn't read this, because that's what Emmeline's grandfather is going through, and that does cause her a lot of heartache. He has the moments where he gets really confused and upset, and that's understandable. If you love urban fantasy, dark forest, romance in your fantasy, if you love found family and, you know, like fairy tale vibes, and you wanted the Hazelwood to be better, I cannot recommend this highly enough. It was so fun, so good. I gave it 5 stars. I loved this book. I was not expecting to have a 5-star read this early in the year, but it was great. And I actually really enjoyed the audiobook. Obviously it's not as good as others like Gideon the Ninth and anything narrated by Robin Miles, but it's not bad. It's pretty good. She really, you know, did her best to bring the story to light, and I enjoyed it, and she was able to keep my attention. This book comes out in on this date, because I forget, I think it's in May or maybe March. I hope this book surprises you as much as it surprised me. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you read the Hazelwood and how you felt about that one, because oh man, I have a review of it. I didn't like it, so I reviewed it like a while back when I first started my channel. Oof, disappointing. Let me know your thoughts, like and subscribe, and what? Jesus Christ, I'm getting tired. Okay, do all the things, and I'll see you next time. Bye!